Good morning, Bill.
Tech issues abound.
Yep. Tech issues abound. That's what they do, right?
Tech issues abound. Yes, sir.
Yep.
Getting a
Over here.
little bit of a late start, but we got some new tech. So this allows us to output to both of our LinkedIn pages, all the channels that you could possibly want. If you want to
Yes,
get it, if you want to get accountable, be more productive,
that's right.
turn on
That's
your
right.
monitor, and you'll find us
If you're
almost.
that person that likes the CW, we might be there too. You know, like
That one person.
all the channels. Good morning, Mike.
Oh man, dude, how was yesterday?
It was good. It was heavy consumption yesterday, but I got to do a whole lot of observation of role plays and training calls of clients by our
Okay,
trainers. So it was fascinating. The really, really
interesting.
cool techniques and stuff that I had seen different ways, but not all together like that. So
Nice. Good
very,
morning,
very
Mike.
cool. How
So
about
you
you?
said situational role plays. Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because role plays is like my favorite thing on the planet.
Oh,
So
yes. I'm aware.
did you get anything that I should know about? Any
Oh,
super
yeah.
secret tips?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you a
Okay.
super secret off there.
Oh, okay. Good. Okay. I
No, no,
love
no. We
that.
can share. No, we can share. We can share. No, I definitely had a couple spots where I was like, oh, I need to tell John about this. I wonder if he knows about this. Um,
Interesting.
one of them I'll share is we were Marcus does a thing called world class communications training, and he does that for
Hmm.
anybody who trains on staff because he is a fantastic trainer, elite level, I think. And we have an agency that's coming on as a They Ask You Answer agency, and so the whole crew was there, all five of them,
Hmm.
and we're teaching them how to vanguard a call, like to show up and set parameters, and vanguard's the wording that they use.
Oh,
And
interesting.
yeah, so you're vanguarding for any sort of objections or expectations that won't be met if you don't start that way, like a sales call,
Hmm.
right? So I've heard you say in
Yeah.
different language.
Yep.
And
Same
then
thing.
question first, of course. You know, you're always asking questions. The rule of three. You know, you never stop with one question. Like you always dig deeper. You know, you always are looking for the root.
Hmm.
You know,
Yep.
some stuff like that. But one of the role plays we did was there's this boss who is um, showing up on site for these construction things and like calling up the videographer and being like, "Hey, you gotta get out here and you gotta capture this." And he's driving the content team crazy because
Yeah.
he's the visionary and he knows what he wants and you gotta get here right now.
Yep.
But they're missing deadlines on other stuff because he's always doing that.
Yeah.
So we had to role play. Each of us had to role play how we would handle that situation. Um,
Okay.
so it was fun. It was fun, and everyone had a little bit different approach. And then, of course, Marcus came in and just crushed it. Just smashed it 20 seconds, and the guy was like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you're probably right." So
There's
it was fun.
I mean I'm a sales coach, right? Like I love coaching people in this manner that I do, right? The more fulfilling part of it is whenever people come back and they're like, "Hey, like while this is helping over here,
Mm-hmm.
it's really helping me more over here." I'm working with a guy right now. His name's AJ. He's been helping us with like SEO and stuff, and it is such a he's such an introvert, but on one of the calls he goes, man, my networking calls are good, but I gotta tell you, like, it's all the other conversations that
Yeah.
aren't sales conversations that
Right.
still are loaded with the same kinds of elements and things you have to deal with and little points of concern that you should address as opposed to just letting them continue to kind of bake and do all this other stuff. So it doesn't end because you get an order or a PO or an invoice or anything else like this. Like, if anything, that sales interaction is where you're setting the pace for the rest of the interaction that you're going to get that person should be expecting, right? One of
Right.
the worst things ever is when you have a really great consultative salesperson and then the onboarding period sucks right? Because the person who catches the brunt for that is the salesperson who did a really great job of being there and being available and answering your questions and everything else like that.
Oh yeah.
And now because of a bad baton pass and a bad onboarding system, the salesperson is overselling and, oh my God, how could you do that? And these salespeople and stuff. And it's one of the hardest part about being a salesperson, because you're kind of like pushing a semi in reverse, right? You get this huge trailer and you kind of have to guide it in the right way. And if you don't, it's gonna be bad for everybody.
Yeah, very true. And you hear stuff like that all the time. I had a client that decided they were going to get a new website. They they decided they were going to go with a certain vendor because they had industry experience. I mean, we all heard about that. Great sales, horrible onboarding. It took a month from the sale to actually get the account manager into a meeting with the team to actually start the work. And they literally asked for their money back. It was horrible.
And from a systems perspective, it doesn't take a whole lot to put something into a system at the end of the sales process that automates the beginning of the onboarding process, right? Like, you can go create a Zap that'll say, when the invoice is paid, start sending these emails, and you can remove that gap that happens due to a failure of communication and things like this. But it has to matter to you, or else it doesn't, right? So like, until you have one of those situations where someone churns before they even start, you have no idea that people are not getting what they need in those moments. It's very interesting.
Right.
So,
hey Joey, good to see you, man. He's had that letdown too, he said. So probably, I'm guessing he's talking about the buying something and then having a horrible onboard experience. Very common.
Joey Chandler.
Yeah.
Man, that guy blew me away, because we had a call a couple of years ago, and he posted about this on Facebook because we're Facebook friends, and he hits the call and he's like, hey, can we just breathe for a minute? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And it was just rad. We just literally sat there for 60 seconds and just kind of like just chilled and breathed. And then the rest of the meeting was so good. And it stands out as like a unique moment, because most people aren't like, hey, can we just breathe for 60 seconds before we start talking and networking and stuff? Such a cool thing. Well, it's good to see you, Joe.
Yeah, for sure. I want to hear more about what you got going on his relationship stuff he's working on. So hit me up. So I'm curious, right? A lot of pushback I hear to what we're talking about right now is, but you guys are tech guys. You know how to do that sort of thing. If you wanted to create some more of like a self-service type situation like that, but that's what you're talking about, right? Or an automated process that goes, okay, once my client comes on board, they get these 2 emails and they get this password sent to them or whatever it is, so they feel like they're being onboarded. What would you suggest to people who aren't techies?
That's a really freaking good question, man, honestly. Curse of knowledge, right? Like, you and I both know how easy it is. And by ease,
familiar now, that's all.
Yeah. Zapier is a tool that is very deep well, and you can spend lots and lots and lots of time there playing with Zaps and not getting what you need out of it and everything else like that. So like I say, the curse of knowledge around the idea of knowing how to make that system work for me. My thing is, write it out, right? Put it on the whiteboard. Okay, so what happens at the end of our sales process? Invoice is sent, invoice is paid. Interesting. Okay, is there a way that we could get a trigger or a notification from a system? And all these systems love to give you triggers and notifications that we can then map to someone else. So if you take everything and you kind of just like box line, and draw that kind of wiring diagram of, okay, great, invoice is paid, welcome email is sent, calendar invite for kickoff call is sent, and all that stuff. But if you just write it out on a line of the series of steps that should happen, you can then go take it to Upwork or Fiverr or the Zapier group on Facebook. You can just call me directly, because I have people on my team who build these things. So, but it's like, you kind of have to want to figure it out in the lab, and then kind of go around and be like, hey, can we build this thing? Like go talk to some people. Like, We have
Right.
sales practice lab, and sales practice lab runs twice a week, right? And it goes for an hour long, and we record them and we rebroadcast them and make them available inside the Slack community. So I have a series of zaps that when sales lab, well, actually before 20 minutes before sales lab, there's a notification in the Slack group. We do the call. After the call is done, it automatically gets uploaded to YouTube, unlisted, drops the link in the Slack community, and then people have access to the thing that they need. And it's all because of this one system that we use.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
we kind of had to sit down and kind of figure it out. What should these things connect to? What are good trigger points that we can use? And so now I don't have to pay Zoom for storage space, which is like $40 a month, which I'm really glad I don't have to pay. And
Yeah.
I have some settings set up so that way everything gets auto deleted out of my Zoom after one day because it's already moved over and everything else like that. So write it out in the way that you want it to be, and then go network, find some people who are process oriented, systems oriented, and like, hey, how hard is this to do? And that's what I would be doing if I was brand new. But the curse of knowledge there is knowing that I can go like square, square, square. These are the points. How do we connect these things? So
Yeah, and I think there's also a second layer of it is you have to act like the customer with your own stuff, because you have to
you
go.
have to go through your
I was
stuff.
a customer.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I was a customer, how would I want to receive this? What would be best case scenario? Okay, can I do
Yeah.
that and then map it out? So because
Yep.
there's a lot of things that we try and shortcut that actually end up being worse for our customer because we just want to take work.
Yeah, we think we know better.
Yeah,
right.
yeah, or just get rid of it. I don't have to do that. I don't have to go upload it to YouTube every time and unlist it.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna put it on there. But luckily, that also lends to a really great experience on the other side, because I get a message
Hopefully
twice a week in Slack that says, "Hey, your sales lab video is ready," automatically. I love it. It's a delivery for me, because then I can go, "Oh yeah, I need to watch that."
But yeah, when that's the thing. Think about the action steps that are part of these things that have a software kind of trigger, right? Because something gets paid, something gets done, something gets sent, something gets signed, something changes in status. Because you can usually use some software to map to those changes in statuses inside these systems and use it to, like, some of the flows that these people are built are just phenomenally beautiful. The concern is always that you go too far and you make it fragile.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, Go High Level has some extremely incredible customization options, but it also is fragile, and it also is not super UX friendly all the time. So there are a lot of opportunities to do stuff like that. So okay, well, I'm curious about like a sales process. Is there anything you do from like a follow up standpoint, or from a setting up the first call standpoint, or like, are there any kind of built in make sure this happens so they have a good experience type things you have built?
So one of the things that most people like, this is such a lightweight fix, but if you're using a thing like Calendly or one of these schedulers, most of them have an option built in there to send a 24-hour reminder before the call, right? And if you're dealing with people and the avatar is not normally calendar driven, you're not going to have to worry about that, because most salespeople are very calendar driven. You can go into Calendly and say send an email 24 hours before, and they get an email reminder that ups your show rate, right? Just because they get a little bit of notification and puts it back in the center. So when we start thinking about that, it's okay, how do we get our highest show rate, right? What do we need to be doing to make sure that people are coming to the meetings, are coming aware, you're having the conversation you need to have? And then what's a normal next step after this first call, right? Like, what's something we can do, right? And you can even have this stuff triggered in your CRM, so that way if you have a column that says first meeting scheduled, and you go in there and then you move it over to first meeting complete, second meeting is on the books, or some kind of next schedule, you can even have it tied to those kind of like stages, so you can trigger stuff out. So if you're talking to someone, they say, hey, I don't really need you right now, but I want to stay caught up, I want to see the stuff that you're doing, and I want to see your tips and tricks. Okay, great. You could potentially just move that person to a nurturing column inside your CRM, and that automatically puts them into your nurturing email follow-up, and they just automatically get the email nurturing, right? Let's say you have a conversation on the networking side, and you need to stay top of mind with them. You can build your CRM so that way it automatically sets like a prompt to follow up with somebody every 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, annually, whatever that process is. So once again, you have to kind of think about what usually happens, right? And kind of start from that thing, right? If I have a great conversation with like a networking partner who I think can refer a lot, I want to talk to them again in a month or less, right? If it's someone that I network with a lot, but there's no real referral capacity or something like that, we might meet twice a year, right? So having those buckets and assigning things to those buckets and putting it all on like a linear thing are really the things to be thoughtful about. But following up is huge, staying top of mind is huge, and there's all kinds of different strategies for doing that. It largely depends upon how you want to stay top of mind, because you can just send those emails just checking in, and stuff like that, or you can find other ways to be relevant and top of mind.
Yeah, I like recently I've seen some really good nurturing processes on me from interactions with people online, where they don't ask me to join their newsletter. And after we've had a discussion in comments, they'll ask if I want an article that they wrote about it, just so I can dig deeper if I feel like it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when
I love that,
I go, sure, absolutely. So I'll go click that. I'm on their site now. I'm going to go enjoy this article. And then if they're doing their job right, which these fast food people have, is they have already set up many little conversion spots, micro conversions, where I can either click to download a worksheet to go now apply this to my business, or little time. Brian Dean calls them, what's he called those? Do you remember what Brian Dean calls those? Anyway, he was kind of famous for coining the phrase around what those were years ago, because instead of getting okay, hey, join my newsletter, you just read an article, like, you love me now, right? Like when you think like a customer, like, nah, I just kind of want a cheat code here because I'm stuck on this one thing, and this looks like a good article that maybe solves it, right? So I love that's kind of an automated process to get people in your system that's thinking more about the customer than me going, they should be on my newsletter because they get lots of good stuff, which may be very true, absolutely. But they're 80% whatever aren't ready to get on your newsletter. But they would download funny.
Yeah, this brings to mind like a very interesting thing that a lot of marketers think, that as soon as they're in your realm, your sphere, right, that they're like a qualified lead. They downloaded the white paper, and Zoom Info is getting a lot of flack about this, about like their sales process and how aggressive it is, right? And so not all process is good process. And if you don't go through your process as the customer, you are going to be more heavy-handed than you would want to be applied to you, because you're in this place of like, let's be precise and professional and all these things, right? And you're going to overdo it, and it's going to come out badly. Right now, we have a product on the AppSumo marketplace, right? And they've opened the marketplace up, and I get an email that says, hey, you've been delisted. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And I'm in the community, and the very first, it's like, you have been delisted for one of the following reasons. It doesn't give me the exact reason, just gives me a laundry list. The first one is, this has been plagiarized, which I don't really think is the first bullet point you want to be like sending to creators when you're like breaking their heart. And the second one is, you're not an authority in the space, and then like a laundry list of other ones. But
oh my gosh.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of these things apply, right? Which is very frustrating. This email is more framed as like a setting of expectations email. We might have to delist you if one of these things apply. But if you're going to pull a product off of a marketplace, you need to give that creator individual specificity about why it was pulled, what they can do to deal with it. And you can tell that this process was just slapped together and launched before anyone went through it, and it's frustrating because Noah is such a big fan of like the power of copy and positioning and stuff. And this just feels like it was like slapped together and sent with an attaboy. And yeah, it's frustrating.
Yeah, like check the box just to get it off their desk, like
absolutely.
And what's interesting too is like, especially when if it's a delisting situation, someone has gone, this needs to be taken off, and this is the reason why. Yeah. All they have to do is create an automation around the top 5, top 10 list, and you go, hey, it seems you plagiarized this. Could you get back to us? Otherwise, you might get delisted. Oh, okay. Yeah. Let me go check to see what I did. Versus now you have no idea. It's like getting a Facebook ad taken down. They never tell you why.
Yeah. And I don't know if I can fight it. I don't know if there's like a path to get this back. I just got this email that says, hey, respond if you have any questions. I have not been responded to. I'm outside of their window that they state within their, so like the whole thing is just like a mess. Yeah. And then because I'm in the underdog community, I was like, hey guys, like this is a little bit botched. This could be improved, and put it in there. And no one's done anything with it. So it's kind of, okay, you're voting with your feet, right? So I don't think we'll be putting any more products up on the AppSumo marketplace. It's frustrating.
Yes, that is frustrating. Yep. Okay. Well,
Um,
it's Thursday,
it is
right?
Thursday. Yeah.
And we love Thursdays.
I am getting back into enjoying Thursdays. I worked on this project last year that how do I say this? Hurt on the exit of it, right? And my meetings were on Thursdays, so you and I had this
Yes.
routine of loving
Mhm.
Thursdays, right? And then I
Mhm.
started working on this project, and the calls were on Thursdays, and it became the day that I loathed, right?
Wow.
Because yeah, leaders, yeah, we're not gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're just gonna skip right over all that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Too
We're
many
just gonna
channels.
start living Thursdays. Yeah. Start living
Yeah.
Thursdays again.
So yeah, Thursday I have, let's see. I had two really amazing coaching calls yesterday. Really, really, really good. Both of them, wait, did I say coaching calls or lunch club calls?
You said coaching.
Coaching, excuse
You
me.
meant lunch
I had
club, right?
yeah, I had two really great lunch club calls. Like both these
Okay.
people that I met with yesterday are very, very smart. They're both DISC certified, so we like geeked out on personalities and stuff. Very cool. Such a great platform. If you're not networking on there and you're trying to network on LinkedIn, get over to Lunch Club. I have a link. I will send it to you.
Yeah.
Send me a message. I will hook you up.
Definitely check it out.
So we have sales practice lab at 10 today.
Okay.
Practicing for salespeople. I have two coaching calls. One of them might cancel because I think they might be on vacation, and then I have a lunch club call at 4. So I've got 2, 4, 5 hours of blockable for blocking and tackling.
Okay. Awesome. Good deal. And is that what you would like your Thursday to look like? Was there anything you want to shoot for next Thursday to be better?
I feel like when we when we were doing this before, I would lean into these bets that were just like volume driven to kind of just be
Mhm.
like, look how much I
Yeah.
can do and things like this, right? And we've talked about my struggles with some of these weeks of, like there was one week where I had to go ask 100 people to join the group and stuff like that. And, because it was just like a big round number and it put a bunch of pressure on myself. So I don't really know what to change about my Thursday. I like my Thursdays the way that they are.
Sure. Sure.
It just used to be this like great day for cleanup, if that makes sense, right?
I think it still can be. So let's talk about that real quick because I've got 4 minutes here.
Mhm.
I think you would say this as a sales coach. I've heard you say it. Quality of rep matters,
For
not
sure.
quantity. And I
Mhm.
mean, very, very much. I've been cleaning up my workout routines, and a lot of what my workout routines are the same. It's cleaning up the reps, not the exercises I'm doing. I'm doing
Exactly.
less reps now and with less weight because I was
Mhm.
cheating unknowingly until I
Yep.
was really focused on the quality of the reps. So I think maybe some of that is what we're looking at here. So maybe Thursday could be more of a how could we clean up our quality of rep day because tomorrow's Friday. It's the check-in day for that
That's a
versus
good.
volume.
Well, I mean, and how do I say this? I need the balance of both, right? Like I need time to go do
Sure.
system stuff and thinking stuff, and that's what the first 2-hour block is going to be. Social writing, creative stuff.
Mhm.
Great sales practice lab, 2-hour block of the next thing. So going back and forth is fine. I don't really know that it needs to change. I need to be more productive with my weeks overall is really I think the thing that it comes down to. And I've been stuck there because it's like, okay, what is my next step of doing this kind of productization kind of thing? So
Mhm.
that like I would like to use more of my open non-call time on that kind of
Perfect.
thing because we decided not to write a book this year. So I've got time to put into bigger projects. And that's been going towards the site. Now that the site is live, next thing is how do we get some productization around things? Yeah.
That's right. Get a Sherpa course. Yep.
So yeah, so the Sherpa course is already there, but version 2.0 needs to be
Self-serving.
immersive, really, really great, different learning styles, and just going to be it's going to be really, really cool. I don't know how we're going to make it, and yeah, we'll see.
Cool.
I'm concerned that my goals for that course are too big, so probably
Yeah.
so.
Yes. Yeah. Your 2.0 is probably what should be like a 4.0. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of
It's not
course.
6
Yeah.
or 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, what do we do then? I mean, what's how we gonna end this one today? Tomorrow's Friday. My goals were pretty simple. It was just do the work, fit my checklist, so that I'm fine there.
So we were talking yesterday about the avatar of the person that I want to be helping. Right?
Yes.
What would be the next step in that? Do I need to go create like a Google Docs so that way we can be on the same page about it? Is that?
Yep. I think that's good.
Cool.
Just document it so that we have something to reference. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I can definitely do that.
Awesome. And then we have a guest tomorrow?
We do have a guest tomorrow, guys. Real quick, I have to tell you guys about Moose, right? Moose is, thank you so much for reminding me, homie. I appreciate that.
And I'm going to have to drop off so you can take it home. But
yeah,
I want to, go. Moose.
Yeah, cool. Go do your thing. So Moose Reed, real quick, is our guest tomorrow. Moose has been in sales for 12 years. He's worked and he was a top producer at Cutco, which is like a very great proving ground for salespeople. You sell knives to people door to door. So it's a big grind. There's some big names coming out of that industry. He worked for BlackRock as a mutual fund wholesaler. BlackRock is one of the biggest mutual fund groups around. He found enrollment selling, which is a different kind of selling. It's for high ticket coaching and programs. He has built people to 7-figure run rates in under 90 days. He's built 150 sales organizations and introduced 3,000 sales reps to business owners and everything from closer to account managers to sales managers. So he's going to be coming in tomorrow, talking with us about his ideas and views and philosophies about sales and some of the stuff that he's done. We're going to talk about content. We're going to talk about recruiting because these are all things that he's very, very good at. So thank everybody for coming out this morning. Thank you to Gabe. Thank you for Joey. It's good to see you, sir. And let's see, and Mike Tao. Good morning, sir, again. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. It's going to be a great interview. It's going to be very cool. We'll see you all then. Have a great day.